The world is divided into four spheres, each sphere divided among continents and nations. Nations are divided by borders and interests. These interests divide the news. We examine the impact of these divisions on people and power. This is Imaginary Lines. Welcome to the program. I'm your host, Chris Spanos. While economic austerity has been holding Greece hostage, that all could change soon. Greece's governing coalition has moved forward a key presidential vote by 2 months. The vote could see the opposition party Syriza come to govern Greece in the new year. Kostas Asychos is a founding member of Syriza. He's also head of its foreign policy and defense sector. He joins me to discuss the significance of these current elections. Hello, Costa, and welcome to Imaginary Lines.
Hello, Chris. Hello to everybody listening and watching us.
First of all, can you explain the history of Syriza and where it comes from?
Syriza is a process of unity of the left-wing parties in Greece. More than 10 parties and organizations belonging to the traditional left, the new left, the socialist and the social democrat trends in our country united 10 years ago in forming an alliance. 2 years ago, we became a single party, and we had a program of the salvation, as we call it, of their country, which is a necessary measure, a historical measure we must approach and must encounter in the last 4.5 years. Syriza has been a product of the great problems that have accumulated in Greece, and Syriza exploded into a very well-known party, a popular party among the youth, among the trade unionists, among the unemployed, among the middle classes and the lower classes. And well, this is who we are. We are a product of the crisis, and we hope to not become part of the problem, but become a part of the solution that is so deep for Greece, a humanitarian crisis we have been going through in the last 4.5 years.
So how did these current elections come about, and what is their significance?
Well, the Greek constitution states that on the 15th of February of 2015, the mandate, the fourth-year mandate of our president, Mr. Papoulias, was going to end. So the government currently in power, the two parties, the right-wing party New Democracy and the Social Democratic Party PASOK, decided that they should have this election of the president through the parliament, which is how the constitution states it, 2 months before the mandate ends. Why was this 2-month window? Why did it open just now? Because the Troika, the lenders of Greece, the European Central Bank, the IMF, and the European Commission, the countries that make up the European Union, stated that Greece must continue on the road of austerity, a road that has brought any solutions to the deep social and political problems we're encountering as a people and as a nation. So this 2-month window ended, and we had our first vote, our first round vote. There will be 3 rounds. The next round will be on the 23rd of December and the last on the 29th. 2/3 of the votes of the Greek parliament, meaning 200 members of the parliament, must have the majority, must vote for a president. And on the third vote, 3/5 are needed, meaning 180. And the government is struggling to get that number. On the first round, they got 160 votes yes for Mr. Dimas, who is the candidate for president. Our party voted against. We abstained. We did not vote for this president because we feel elections are an immediate solution, a democratic solution for the deep problems we're encountering as a people and as a nation.
If the governing coalition does not acquire enough votes in the third round on December 29th, general elections will be called, which will create a wide opening for Syriza. What is Syriza's strategy looking forward into the general elections, should they be called?
Well, as you very well stated, if we do have general elections, these elections will take place within 30 days of the last round that resulted in a negative vote for the candidate. That means that on the 29th, 30 days maximum, meaning probably January 25th, we will have general elections. Now, our strategy is very simple: to end austerity, to renegotiate our huge debt, which is not the debt of the Greek people to the banks, but it's the huge debt that was accumulated in the last 5 years by a corrupt political system, by a corrupt government, and of course by the lenders who took the opportunity to lend us this huge amounts of money which did not go into real economy to create jobs, to create growth, economic and social growth. But instead we had privatizations. We lost our energy. We lost our communications. We lost our land, our airports, our islands are on sale. So you can imagine that this is a neo-colonial strategy on behalf of the lenders. And our strategy is a patriotic left-wing strategy that wants to bring back to the people the needs they have, which means electricity at home. We have 300,000 homes in Greece without electricity because people can't pay it. We have 4.5 million Greeks living under the poverty line. This is a huge humanitarian crisis, and our strategy is to get out of austerity, to get out of this plan of a slow death that we're condemned to for the next years, and to renegotiate and I mean a strong negotiation, even if it means that we will disagree in most of the topics we talk about, but they must come to their senses and remember that this is not a Greek problem in Europe, but this is a European problem, a problem of the European periphery. In Greece, in Italy, in Spain, in Portugal, in Ireland, we have the same problems.
JeanClaude Juncker, president of the European Commission, has warned against Greeks voting the wrong way and has explained that he doesn't want to see extremists coming to power. How do you respond to this effort of elites, the effort by elites and by media to paint Syriza as an extremist force?
Well, it seems that Mr. Juncker and Mr. Moscovici, who is the Minister of Finances in the European Commission, and other top leaders of the European elite have not learned their history very well as far as Greece is concerned. In the Cold War years, they used to tell the Greeks, beware of the communists because they're going to come and take your homes. Now the banks are taking the homes. The capitalists. So Mr. Juncker, I think, is totally wrong in saying what we should vote for and what we should not vote for. Democracy was born here in Greece. Nobody can tell us how to vote and how democratic we should be at these critical historical elections we're going to face. We're not a banana republic. We are a decent people. We are a proud people. We're a proud country of our history against Nazism in the Second World War, against fascism, for democracy, for social rights, and I think Mr. Juncker has to read his history again.
Upon the announcement that Greece was going to enter into snap elections, media reported that the Greek stock markets fell to their lowest point since 1987. And this is a continuous theme in media portraying the concerns of markets above the Greek people. How do you understand this tendency of placing markets above people?
Well, as you say, markets are above people, markets are above political power, elected governments, above democracy, above social rights. So markets that are not elected, Moody's and Standard & Poor's and all these evaluation, different organizations we have around the world and in Europe, Bloomberg and so on and so forth. Well, they constantly tell us how to live, how to consume, rather how not to consume, and how to lose more and more democratic rights, how to lose our jobs and try to get by day. No, this is not democracy. Markets are not a product of democracy. Markets are a dictatorship of the markets, and they have their own people. In some rooms, we can't look at them. We don't know their names. We don't know who the CEOs are. These phantoms who appear as people telling countries and nations on how to order, how to come about of their economic day by day living, and their strategy they must have to become better societies with full employment, with full social rights, with ecological rights for the nations. Now, the markets here in Europe and I think around the world have been behaving above democracy, marginally outside the political and social system we have come to live in. So I think Greece will be an experiment. The Syriza government will be an experiment which must we all support, because we will not be facing only the markets on the other side of the river, but also the people who we don't know and the elites who follow their orders. So this is a special time, a very historical time for Greece and for the European people and the people around the world. We must succeed. We have no other way in trying to overcome impossible, almost difficulties that are facing us. But we do have a strategy because we have the people behind us. We have to renationalize our wealth. We have to work for the development of the economy. We have to come about in terms with the banks who are not democratically elected. They're private banks. They have gotten more than 50 billion euros in the last 4.5 years. Not 1 euro has come to the real economy. So we're saving the banks and we're not saving the people. This is the main theme we have to encounter here in Greece and in the rest of Europe, Chris.
Many Latin American countries have begun to move away from the domination of markets and neoliberalism. How does Syriza see itself in relation to the social and material transformations occurring in Latin America?
Well, we have very, very close ties as a party with many governments, left-wing governments and democratic governments in Latin America. Alexis Tsipras has been in Venezuela. He has been in Argentina, in Brazil. I have been myself in other countries, among those I mentioned. We have excellent relations with the governments in power, with the political parties of the left, of the democratic left. And we see Latin America as a corner in the world where there is an example of emancipation of people and nations against hegemony of the markets, against neoliberalism, which has been such a nightmare for decades for the people of Latin America. And here in Europe, we're living through that same nightmare. So we're not trying to copy the model of Ecuador or the model of Cuba or the model of Venezuela. We're going to discover our own model of emancipation against neoliberalism. But in this road, we will not be alone, not only in Europe, but I think we have a lot of Latin American friends, governments, left-wing leaders, trade unionists, who will be with us in spirit and soul, but also in common action and solidarity.
Finally, Greece has many social movements that are very dynamic, movements ranging from the Viome factory struggle for worker self-management, ecological struggles, student movements, the free social spaces, movements against neo-Nazism, and the recent solidarity movement with anarchist Nikos Romanos. What is the relationship that Syriza has between the party and today's social movements?
Well, the social movements in Greece, the traditional social movements and the new social movements, which have come about in the last 5 years, movements of youth, of students, of people against immigration, of people trying to live their lives with respect in a social manner that corresponds to the most deep humanitarian values we have had in this country for thousands of years, coming back from our ancient times. So really, oxygen is a social movement's oxygen to our party. They have become the oxygen we needed to grow, the oxygen we needed to become part of the social movements, not dominating them, not giving them the political line and the political road they must follow with their total autonomy as organizations, but side by side with them, sometimes not having all the time the same opinion, but having the same strategy. And this wide democratic ball we have, this ball we have here in Greece, with all these social movements growing day by day, solidarity movements are part of our strategy. Without these movements, we will not be able to succeed on the next day if we are in government. These social movements will be part of the most vivid and dynamic democracy we will rediscover 2,500 years later.
Well, thank you very much for joining me on Imaginary Lines, Costa.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.